Hello everybody, Miss Laddie Daw here, and today we're going to do day 3 of the Living True 40 Days to Get Back to You 40-day devotional challenge. So let's begin with chapter 3 today, and it is called God is Faithful. The one who calls you is faithful, and he will do it. Thessalonians 5:24. I remember when Jenny called me crying, heartbroken that her relationship with Hunter was over. They had dated for 2.5 years, and we all thought he was the one. They lived in separate cities, and just when Jenny was willing to move and leave her amazing job, house, church, and friends in Nashville to be with him in Pittsburgh, it ended. Jenny was crushed, and the idea of starting over in her 30s only made it hurt more. "What is God doing?" she cried. What Jenny and I didn't know when we talked that day was that just 2 months later, God would bring someone from her past back into her life who would become her husband. She would be engaged 4 months later and married 3 months after that. And if that isn't crazy enough, Jenny would have to move because her husband's job was taking him across the country to Hawaii. That's right. 6 days after marrying her amazing husband, she was living in paradise with him. When Jenny tells this story, all she can talk about is how faithful God is. From preparing her to leave her life in Nashville way ahead of time, for Hawaii, not Pittsburgh, to every other detail in her story. When you read the Bible, you also see example after example of God's faithfulness. We doubt, and God is still faithful. We waver, and God stays steady. We stray, and God stays close. We give up, and God keeps going. Romans 3:3 says, "What if some were unfaithful? Will their unfaithfulness nullify God's faithfulness? Not at all." Again and again, God shows us that regardless of what we do or don't do, He is faithful. For example, in Genesis, God told Abraham that Sarah would become pregnant with a son, even though she was way past childbearing age. "I will bless her, and will surely give you a son by her. She will be the mother of nations. Kings of people will come for her." Genesis 17:16. Do you know what Abraham did at this point? He did what I probably would do. He laughed. Abraham fell face down. He laughed and said to himself, "Will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at age of 90? Genesis 17. And it wasn't just Abraham laughing. Later, when Sarah overheard what God said to Abraham, she laughed too. God's response to Abraham and Sarah is a good reminder for us today. The Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Will I really have a child now that I am old?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Genesis. And I'm sure you know what happened. God was faithful and came through in spite of their unbelief. He was faithful then, and He is still faithful today. Our God is a God who comes through for you. Not every now and then, every single time. God doesn't come through for you because you deserve it. God comes through for you because that's who He is. God comes through for you because that's who He is. I don't know what dreams you're dreaming or prayers you're praying, but I want you to know that our God is faithful. He's not a mean, vindictive God who builds you up only to pull the rug out from under you. He's a God who comes through for you. It may not be in the way you expect. It may not be in the way you prefer, but He will not abandon you. If He said it, He will do it. Reflection and prayer. Where might you be holding back or playing it safe because you're not sure God will come through? What has God invited you to do that sounds so impossible it made you laugh in disbelief? Think back over the past 12 months. How have you seen God's faithfulness in your life? You can even journal your answer to capture how He's been faithful. Spend some time in prayer today, asking God to help you believe that just as He was faithful before, He will be faithful again. And that's going to do it for day 3. Stay tuned tomorrow for day 4. And I hope that you spend a little bit of time, even if it's just 5 minutes, heck, even if it's just 1 minute, in prayer today. This is Miss Letty Daw saying ta-ta.